how Silicon Valley started here in the 50s, 60s.
An amazing story. People are very familiar with Steve Jobs, the name Steve Jobs, and Bill Gates when you talk about technology and computers and some of the what people perceive of the Silicon Valley, but these guys are the guys that are behind those guys.
Okay, Android, Nexus 1, here we go.
At CineQuest. Watch this be the best
This
YouTube. This will be the highest downloaded YouTube video
well,
right here.
This is the brightness. This is
This is Lonnie Stark of Stark Silver Creek, and we're here. It's all quiet at the California Theater getting ready for the opening of the Real Revolutionaries, which is all about how Silicon Valley started here in the 50s, 60s. So very, very appropriate since we're here in the middle of Silicon Valley. I'm here with Paul Crowder and Mark Monroe, and we're here at the beginning of the Real Revolutionaries that is going to be starting screening here. Director, writer, what did you want to profile that's different than what's been profiled so far about the history of Silicon Valley?
Well, basically, we wanted to tell the story about two people that really sort of got lost in the story of Silicon Valley a little bit. William Shockley and Robert Noyce, who really are the godfathers and the forefathers of the whole valley. And it all came out of companies that they started. And it's really just an amazing story. People are very familiar with Steve Jobs, the name Steve Jobs, and Bill Gates when you talk about technology and computers and some of the what people perceive of the Silicon Valley, but these guys are the guys that are behind those guys. And this is really a story, an amazing story on so many levels, and it's a forgotten history in some respects. And it really just excited us.
You see this phenomenon a lot with even inventions. Sometimes the person that first came out with the idea isn't the one that becomes famous. From doing this story, what do you think were the reasons why these two weren't particularly well known?
Well, I think what happens, and Paul said it earlier, is that technology changes so quickly that sometimes we forget the history of it. That you're on to the next thing so quickly, you forget really the people and the personalities that shaped not just the technology, but the place. The culture here in Silicon Valley, the work, the way you do business in Silicon Valley, I think was shaped by these two people. And all the people here that inhabit it today and work here today and make great livings and great things for all of us to share, they're living on the shoulders of these men.
What do you think made that? You mentioned a couple things, but it could have happened anywhere in the country, no?
It could have happened anywhere in the country. I think it was just maybe locale with just where Shockley decided to set up shop the first time. And, you know, then there was already a couple of companies out here. I believe Hewlett-Packard was one of them, was already here.
And you think of all these guys who maybe have went to school in like East Coast establishment schools, suffering through harsh winters, dreaming of the sunshine of California. You know, you come here and you can do whatever you want.
What do you think is the key thing that has changed?
The 50s and 60s, well, I was in England at that time, so I'm not sure. There were a lot more apricot trees, apparently, back in those times. You know, things that have changed. One of the big things that, you know, Intel introduced was, and art rock, venture capitalism, paying the employees with stock options. They were the first company to do that to all employees.
Thank you so much for your time, and I'm sure everyone's going to enjoy the screening, and congratulations.
Thank you so much.
it's quite a bit different.
Beautiful. The only thing you don't have is keyboard, but the keyboard in here is not that great anyways.
Right. That's one of the reasons I avoided it.
So this is where we are now in Silicon Valley, and we're going to learn about how we got to this point where two people in California Theater are comparing Android and Nexus Android phones, and you'll see where it all began with Real Revolutionaries, 50s, 60s, and how Silicon Valley began.
Oh, that's because he has a... This is a very, very special night for us here at CineQuest. 20 years ago, I decided, I made the choice to come to Silicon Valley. I could have chosen anywhere in the world to go and live and work, and I chose the Valley.
Good evening.
Welcome to San Jose, welcome to Silicon Valley, welcome to CineQuest.
Thank you to CineQuest. We started making this film a few years ago with some great support from some people in the room, some of the people you'll meet afterwards. Julie Blank, one of the original Fairchild 8, is here tonight.
Where you have Steve Jobs going to Noyce for advice and guidance, and then you have the founders of Google going to Steve Jobs for advice and guidance. And I think that's one of the magical things about this valley still, is there's been this generational succession of innovation from one product to another and one generation to another, and I do think that's very much alive.
And he agreed with us, and we had 3 or 4 meetings, and at the last moment, the Hebrew nagged, so if anybody's going to be betrayed, it was us that got betrayed by Arnold. But that's all right, I'll fight for that.
A search list for inventors in Fairchild, and it was United, Shoe, and a whole bunch, just the most bizarre collection of companies. There was literally no venture capital, and now this is the heartland of venture capital for the world.
The creativity of people was unleashed, and what you had is applications that were absolutely mind-boggling. And today there isn't a single area of human activity